Howdy y'all, this is A.R. Kavli. Welcome back to my channel and the further adventures of Russel Miranda, Gunslinger. So when we left off, he had just narrowly escaped being turned into a Ghost Rider of Tahira himself. That may still be in the cards for our wayward hero, but he managed to escape the room and the preparations while killing the doctor and the cook, which kind of sounds bad, but they weren't nice people. And one of the Ghost Riders. He has escaped. He's gotten past the camera that was in the hallway outside, and now he's back in the central chamber. And there were two other passages from the central chamber. He took this one because we generated technology, and this one had something uh, looking like the machines that converted young David House into a fuel source to power the ceremony, the power of the ritual that created the original Ghost Riders. So there are two left. One, as he recalls, went down to what smelled like barracks, smelled like socks and dirty old people, or maybe not dirty old people, but just dirty people, like a bunkhouse, barracks. And the other way, I'm not sure if he, I'm not sure if he decided if he detected anything down that way. So I think, well, let's see. What kind of underground dungeony kind of thing do we find? Yeah, we'll use dungeon features. We'll see if there's something noticeable, or see what he notices for the other passageway. A 2-6. All right, so a 2-6. That gives us drafty or ventilated. Okay, so one way smells, the other way is drafty. There's a draft coming from that direction. Interesting. So if there's a draft coming from that direction, that indicates either machinery, maybe like the blowers for the barracks or the for the whole complex, or maybe another way outside. What he really needs, what he really wants, is get his big irons back, because the commander, that old commander took him, he was right. If he goes back to Gilead without those, he might as well not have come back at all. He will be he will be sent west as a disgrace, if not just hanged outright. Let's see. So he suspects that, well, one, he's got a limited amount of time anyway, because sooner or later someone will be coming back to check on his progress, and maybe that uh, leader, he may want to watch the process of this gunslinger being turned into a Ghost Rider of Tahira. Let's see. Well, he can't stay around. He can't be too indecisive. So he's going to head to where he suspects the guy with his guns are. He's going to head towards the barracks. So he crawls down Well, not literally crawls down, but he creeps down the passage. He creeps down the hallway. Let's see. Does he encounter anybody? Is there an event of some kind? I'm gonna say on a it's small. It's kind of a small place. I'm gonna say on a 4, 5, or 6. All right. So there's definitely an event. All right. 4, 4. We'll use the dungeon events. And a 4, 4 gives us rock fall or collapse. Hmm. Rock fall or collapse. I don't really see that necessarily happening now, unless it's some kind of trap. Okay. Yeah, I'm not feeling that one. So we're just going to skip it. Nothing happens. He comes forward and he does find a living area, and there are some people. He's going to try to sneak closer to see what he can see. So there's a sparsely furnished lobby kind of thing, a lounge, really, that has some more barrels that are set up, being used as tables and chairs and such. Is there anybody in this immediate area? Or actually, we know there's someone in this immediate area. And around the edge of this lounge are little kind of curtained off recesses where people apparently have their own bunks and everything. All right, let's see. The higher the roll, we'll see what kind of folks are there. Kind of waiting. All right, so we're talking about 3. So we're talking kind of about staff. Now, they've lost 1, 2, 3. We said we had 10 when we went in there. I wasn't really counting any more of the Ghost Riders. I wasn't counting the 3 that he had already taken care of. So in here, left in this building, which this is of course not anything that Russell knows, but left in the building, if we had 10, we've got the commander and the ostler, and then 1, 2, 3 that he killed there. So there are 5 people. 2 of them are Ghost Riders, the remaining 2 Ghost Riders, and then there's 3 other people, and they are probably just kind of regular folkin. All right, so I kind of have a picture that maybe the Ghost Riders, they probably not plug in, but they probably just lay down anywhere. So if there's any asleep in here, there probably are as well. So, all right, I'm gonna say on a 5 or a 6, the Ghost Riders and or the guy with the guns that he's after are past this area. Okay, so not immediately, they're not past this area, but there are, like I said, some people in here. He's going to try to get past. Um, let's shuffle the deck. as he tries to get through the passage, as he tries to explore and find the guns and information, let's see what his next challenge is. Easy brawny challenge. All right, so I'm going to take that as meaning that 1-3. All right. So in this lounge area, the only person that looks like that he can see is somebody who is wearing those kind of fatigue pants and a muscle shirt. And they're sitting kind of with their back towards where Russell is entering the room. And he's just playing solitaire with a deck of folded up, creased up, greasy cards. And Russell walks in, and he just approaches like he's supposed to be there. The guy doesn't pay much attention, and he doesn't even look up until Russell is almost on top of him. Let's see. So is this going to be... He wants to know where the guy is at, so he doesn't want to kill this dude right off the bat. So he's going to... Basically, he's just going to try to punch him senseless. And that's going to be... See, it was easy. All right. So the guy stands up from the cards. He says, "Hey, you're not supposed to..." And then Russell puts a big hammer fist right in the dude's mouth. Right in the kisser. And the dude spins around, falls on his ass, and is blinking. Look, his eyes kind of rolling up in his head. And then he blinks, trying to figure out where he's at and what just happened. Russell grabs him around the neck, raises his fist. "Where is your din?" "My dinner? I don't know what you mean." "Your din, fool. Your boss, your leader, commander. Your din. I don't know how much lower I can speak." "The colonel..." Did the colonel take off already? I'm going to say on a 6, because he wanted Russell to he wanted to kind of be around when Russell got transformed. He's right over there. His office is just down that hallway. He's got himself a nice new shiny set of guns. And as soon as that guy says guns, Russell punches him 3 times in the face. And the guy's he tenses up and then slowly relaxes until he is unconscious on the floor. Russell quickly looks around to make sure that no one has come up behind him or is ready to do anything to him. He takes this guy and throws him on one of the cots and closes the curtain. And then he rushes to the colonel's room, the one he pointed out, his office. Let's see. The colonel alone? Probably not. I'm going to say there's someone with him on a 3, 4, 5, or 6. All right, so there's definitely someone with him. And really, I'm going to roll die 6. The higher the roll, if it's a 5 or 6, it's the Ghost Riders. But because he did tell that one Ghost Rider to go get ready, so they may be off doing that. And if it's not, it's going to be the old man and because he did offer to give him some kind of rewards, maybe they'll be in there, smoking cigars or something. All right. So Russell, he gets his axe ready and his knife ready, and he creeps up to the door. And behind the door, he can hear the voice of the old man, which he recognizes, and the commander, that son of a bitch that took his guns. He doesn't hear anybody else. And there he seemed to be laughing, maybe like they've been having a few drinks. Okay. Not they haven't had enough to, they're not inebriated or anything. And the colonel is not like this guy's best friend now, but they are kind of isolated, and it's a small crew. So um, the leader, the colonel, and on the door, in a language that Russell is unfamiliar with, um, Philip Wilson, Colonel Philip Wilson. Oh, hey, look at that. And he's even a gunslinger, or he was a gunslinger. So that works. And he's interested in a strange place. That's a pretty decent roll up there. Now, Russell knows he has to be careful because even though this man is an ex gunslinger, even though he went west in disgrace, he was trained as a gunslinger. And if he has two big irons in his hands or at nearby, then Russell might be in a little bit of trouble. So he's gonna make his plan as best as he can, which is to, well, charge in swinging, because that's about all he can do. He can't wait around. He already has been he's already suffered the consequences of allowing Ghost Riders to come up behind him while he was otherwise occupied with the door. He wants information though, so he doesn't necessarily want to go in and kill everybody right away. He would have tried to get more information from the guy that he knocked out, but he did not look like uh, anybody who would know anything. It's definitely the colonel. The colonel is the key. The colonel is the key to open up the door. So he tests the door. It doesn't seem locked. He's only going to turn it as little as possible. Or it's not even it doesn't have a doorknob. It's one of those handles with the thumb trigger, whatever you call it, the thumb latch on top. He pushes it down gently. Feels like it's unlocked. And he shoves it. He shoves the door open. He rushes in, and he's going to start swinging. Let's see. Let's set up a little scene here. And because of the colonel and the fact that the colonel has those guns now, I'm going to give it 3 effort tokens. It's going to be a little tough. The other guy, the ostler, he's not too much of a concern unless, he comes up from behind and tattletales again or something. But so Russell pushes open the door, and he immediately he sees the 2 men, one on each side of this ornate desk, and as he smells now that they do each have a cigar or a cigarello and a small snifter of some kind of scotch. He comes in and he kicks the ostler right in the face as he looks over at him from his chair. Let's see. First round, surprise. I'm going to make it easy. All right. So the ostler goes tumbling out of his chair, his nose crunching beneath Russell's boot heel. And Russell is immediately leaping over the desk, trying to get this guy. And he, being a trained gunslinger, he may not have been one for a long time, but he's still got some reflexes. Russell's trying to get to him before he can get those pistols out. So that first round was kind of a freebie. So he's going to come down. He's come down on this colonel. And of course, he also has the added complication that he doesn't want to kill the colonel. He wants to know what they're doing so he can stop them. He had kind of hoped to just sneak into this complex when he first found it, but that got put to nines. So he's going to come in and he's going to try to maybe club him with the back part of that axe. All right. So he leaps over the desk and he throws the colonel up against the wall and he gets a good hammer blow in with the back of that hatchet or the back of that rune-covered axe, and the Colonel Wilson groans and screams, and he's, "What are you doing? How'd you get here, gunslinger?" And of course, he's going for guns, and Russell is also trying to keep him from getting his guns. So in the one hand, they're wrestling over the guns, and in the other hand, Russell's still trying to club him. We'll see if the colonel is able to get a gun out. He's trying to get a gun out. All right. So Russell is still able. He's still managing to get the to keep the colonel's hands tied up, and he grabs the man by the collar and slams his head against the wall, causing the colonel to stumble. And as he stumbles back, he tries to he goes again for his guns. Russell is going to try to keep those guns out of his reach, or out of his hands. So now they're wrestling about. Uh-oh. Russell slammed the guy a little too hard, and he went stumbling back. And when he stumbled back, he got just far enough outside of Russell's reach, and the guy manages to get one of the pistols out, and he takes a shot at Russell and wings him. The report is thunderous in the small office. And he's now out of reach. Russell is he can't afford to go face to face with this guy. He's going to try, as he's wrestling, the guy is back out of range. Russell is going to try to He's going to try to hit. He's going to try to hit his wrist, hit the guy's gun hand, sever it maybe, to get him to drop his gun. Oh no. All right, so he is not able to. He swings, and the gunslinger moves his hand just in time, and he now brings it back up towards Russell, and Russell is going to try to wrestle it out of his hands. He basically has to drop the axe to leap and tackle, and now they're struggling for both the pistols. That's kind of his failure role is, from his resolve, is that he's lost his position now, and he has to drop his axe. Now he's going to try to defend himself. Russell charges, closes the distance. His meaty fists trying to grasp around Colonel Wilson's wrists. Colonel Wilson sees the attack coming, and he sidesteps. And as Russell stumbles, unable to follow the quick movement of the colonel, he turns ready to move again, only to see that the colonel has managed to get both revolvers out, both big guns, their barrels looking huge. And they report again at the same time, and Russell feels the pain shooting through his chest. He falls to one knee. It's amazing how fast his strength has left him. For a second, for a quick split second, he feels the battle rage descending on him. He sees the red, but then it fades away. He can't breathe. The colonel shoots, thumbs each revolver and shoots again. And Russell stumbles backward against the wall. His ass hits the floor, his boots, his legs splayed out in front of him. He tries in vain to reach the knife at his chest. And Colonel Wilson hunkers down between the dying gunslinger's legs. And he says, "You've caused me an awful lot of trouble, gunslinger. I never did even find out your name." "What's your name?" "Surely you remember the face of your father. You can go to the clearing at the end of the path, sharing your name for what you've done." And Russel Miranda, he tries to speak, but he's got 4 huge holes in his chest. He can barely breathe or move. "Well, I can't say as I blame you. To come so close to succeeding on your quest. Huh. Only at the last minute to be killed by your own guns, gunslinger. Woo! That's a story worthy of the bard. But don't you worry, gunslinger, 'cause even the dead can ride. Like your friend Irvin." "Yeah, that's right. He'll be waiting for you, and you two can ride on again, just like happy trail buddies. And don't you worry. Even with this bullet hole that I'm about to put in your skull, you can ride forever on this range in the sky, serving the Crimson King. And with that, Colonel Wilson thumbs back the hammer of one of the pistols of Arthur Eld's knights made from the king's sword. Russell can't do anything about it. He can't move. He can't breathe. But he feels the heavy, cold steel of the barrel press against his forehead. But his death is blessedly instantaneous. He sees only a flash and then blackness. And that is the end of the adventures of Russel Miranda, Gunslinger. I hadn't particularly wanted him to die in this scenario, this session. But he had actually already died. But I lost the audio, so I refilmed the scenario from the point where the sound cut out, where I lost the audio file. And from there, I just decided to go ahead and play it again. And I mean, he still ended up getting captured. So initially, he had been killed by the. He had been captured, he'd been defeated, and made a Ghost Rider of Tahira. But that's, when I realized that I'd lost the audio and started over from that point. Decided to maybe be a little nicer, give him a little benefit of the doubt there. But I tell you, he has just, when in this bunker, he has just made fail after fail after fail. And then with that botch, with that critical failure, trying to avoid the Colonel shots, one resolve left. I felt that it was time for Russell's journey to end. But it was fun. It was a good one, and I think that's a pretty satisfying ending. I am not the type of GM, either as a running a group or playing solo, that shies away from killing characters. Generally, solo, you give them a little benefit of the doubt because a lot of times you're on your own, and you're going more for the story. But I think in this case, Colonel Wilson did finally get the drop on him and plug poor Russel Miranda. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun, even though it was kind of a grim outcome for poor Russel Miranda, a failure. But how many gunslingers have died in the service of Gilead? We know that all of Roland Deschain's friends, compatriots, gunslingers, they were all killed. Poor Cuthbert took an arrow through the eyeball. And if it's good enough for Cuthbert Allgood, then it's good enough for Russel Miranda. Anyway, thank you all for joining along, following on this Tricube Tales solo adventure. And I wish you long days and pleasant nights. Happy gaming.